Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are exposing a really dangerous financial illusion. We call it the $20,000 trap. It's this fascinating, almost invisible phenomenon, and honestly, it pulls people right back into the relentless cycle of living paycheck to paycheck at the exact moment they think they've finally escaped it. We're going to look closely at the brutal math, the hidden psychology, and exactly how you can stop the bleeding of your wealth so you can finally break free. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so let's start by exploring a very specific, totally visceral scenario. Imagine it's 3:14 a.m. You're staring up at the ceiling. The house is completely quiet, but inside your head, it is absolutely deafening. Why? Well, because you're running the numbers again. And the crazy part is, you make good money. You got the promotion, you got the raise, you have a genuinely decent salary on paper. But when you actually look at your bank account, you feel entirely, hopelessly broke. You're calculating the rent, the car payment, the grocery bill that somehow magically doubled this year, and you're just wondering, where on earth did it all go? You're essentially playing financial Tetris in the middle of the night, moving money from savings to checking just to clear a credit card payment, promising yourself that next month will be different. But, next month is exactly the same. And you are just exhausted. Now, the trigger for this whole trap is actually a very specific number: $20,000. Everyone talks about the initial struggle to save your first 10 grand. And don't get me wrong, that's a great milestone for an emergency fund. It gives you a little breathing room. But 20 grand? That is the exact leverage point where the game completely flips on you. See, it's enough money to serve as the seed for actual generational wealth. But, and this is a huge but, it's also exactly enough money to afford the down payment on a massive financial mistake. Suddenly, you look at your account, you see that 20 grand sitting there, and you think, wow, I'm rich. Section 1. The brutal math. So the literal second that 20 grand hits your account, this dangerous trap is sprung. You walk into a dealership, point to a shiny $40,000 car, and the ultimate misguided validation kicks in. Hey, the bank approved me. Okay, let's pause right there. A bank approving you for a loan absolutely does not mean you can afford it. It just means their algorithms have calculated that they can successfully extract interest from you for the next 5 to 7 years. Believing that an approval letter is permission to buy, that is a massive, massive illusion.
We really have to completely redefine what affording it actually means. True affordability isn't about whether you can somehow scrape together the monthly payment by eating instant ramen for a week. Not at all. It means making a purchase that does not disrupt your long-term wealth-building timeline. It means your future remains fully intact after that money leaves your account. If buying that thing slows down your path to financial freedom, I hate to say it, but you just can't afford it.
There is a really stark difference here. Qualifying simply means the bank has verified your ability to make them richer until the day you die. You are literally trading your future labor to pay them a premium. Affording, on the other hand, means buying an asset that makes you richer. It's the fundamental difference between feeding a massive institution's bottom line and protecting your own hard-earned cash so it can actually work for you. Let's look at the actual terrifying cost of this. If you take your newly minted $20,000, put 10 grand down on a depreciating liability, like a car, and commit to a $500 monthly payment, you aren't just losing 10 grand. You are losing the compound interest on that money over the next 30 years. At a standard 8% market return, that initial 10 grand would have grown to over $100,000. And that $500 monthly payment, if you had invested that instead of sending it to a lender every month, it becomes almost $700,000 over that same 30 years. So that car didn't cost you 40 grand. It actually cost you $750,000 in future wealth. That, my friends, is the brutal math. Section 2. The psychological trap. So you might be wondering, why do otherwise smart people make these terrible decisions? Well, the answer is rooted deeply in escaping financial survival mode. Think about it. For years, you've been living on the absolute edge, scraping by just to build a tiny safety net. Because of that, your brain is literally hardwired to look for immediate threats and, consequently, immediate rewards. You've been working so hard and sacrificing so much. The very moment you finally hit that $20,000 milestone, your brain just screams, I survived, I deserve a reward. And this biological urge creates an incredibly toxic I deserve a reward cycle. You buy the expensive watch, you upgrade the apartment to a place with a nicer lobby, you lease the luxury car, you take that lavish vacation you've seen everyone else taking online. And what happens? You pull yourself right back down into financial survival mode. You are constantly resetting your progress back to zero because you're addicted to the feeling of rewarding yourself for escaping poverty instead of actually seizing the incredible opportunity to build permanent, unshakable wealth.
Section 3. The escape plan. To permanently shift from a consumer mindset to a true investor mindset, we need a proactive strategy. And it really comes down to 3 clear steps: the 90-day freeze, the optimal order of investing, and the payday routine. Okay, step 1 is the 90-day freeze. When you hit that 20 grand, you absolutely do not change your lifestyle for 3 solid months. I'm serious. No new car, no apartment upgrades, no massive vacations. You let that money sit on ice. Why? Because you have to let the dopamine wear off. This 90-day period is absolutely crucial because it allows your brain to normalize the feeling of having capital, officially detaching your fast-acting, impulsive emotions from your money. Step 2 is your optimal order of investing. That 20 grand, that is not checking account money. You split it right down the middle. 50%, so $10,000, stays safely in a high-yield savings account. That is your untouchable shield against emergencies. The other 50% gets deployed immediately. You max out your Roth IRA, you buy broad market, low-cost index funds. Basically, every single dollar over your emergency fund is a soldier, and it is your absolute job to send those soldiers out into the market to capture more territory for your future. And finally, step 3 is the payday routine. From this point forward, you pay your future self first before anyone else gets a single dime. The exact moment your paycheck hits your account, your investments and your savings are completely automated to transfer out. You only live on what is left over. By doing this, you force an artificial scarcity on your checking account, which actively prevents that dreaded lifestyle creep, all while your net worth secretly and consistently explodes in the background. It's a real game changer. Section 4. The ultimate choice. So now that you fully understand the brutal math and the underlying psychology, you're faced with a pretty stark ultimatum. On one side, you can choose looking wealthy. You can take your hard-earned 20 grand, pose for a picture at a dealership, and spend the next 5 years of your life totally stressed out at 3 a.m. because you owe everyone money. On the other side, you can choose actually being wealthy. You can keep your ego completely in check, follow the math, and use that money to literally buy your true freedom. Every single day, you are making a conscious choice between looking wealthy and actually being wealthy. The math is clear, the psychology is exposed, and the escape plan is entirely in your hands. So the only question left is, which one will you choose?